In Gaza, you have 2 million people, many of whom are young people. Pretty hopeless conditions to live in. I think people would agree with that. Not much chance of getting out of there. They live in very densely populated areas. We know from in the last 24 hours that Israel controls water, controls energy, power going in there. Many would see that that is a control that Israel shouldn't have if you want to afford equal rights to people living in Gaza. And then it comes down to proportionate response and how you try and, like I say, how do you attack Hamas, given they're all over Gaza, living amongst the general population? How do you attack and isolate genuine members of Hamas, genuine terrorists, from the civilian population? And given that is almost impossible, clearly, what is a proportionate response to what's happened here?
Well, frankly, I don't believe in proportionate response to terrorism. I believe that the way that you stop terrorism is with wildly disproportionate response. That doesn't mean in terms of targeting civilians. It means in terms of killing as many terrorists as humanly possible and allowing them to dictate the terms of engagement by hiding behind civilians in areas that they're supposedly responsible for means that the only option for Israel is to surrender to Hamas's hatred of its own citizens, its willingness to use its own children as human shields. No country worth its salt could ever do that. No government trying to protect its own citizens could ever do that. What exactly is the alternative option other than for Israel to try to kill as many of these terrorists into post-Hamas and hopefully help put in place some sort of international overseen community that would actually govern the Gaza Strip in a rational, reasonable way that actually maximizes the possibilities of its citizens? Israel, over the course of the last year, allowed some 15,000 work permits to Gazans. Many of those work permits, we're now finding out, were used by terrorists in order to cross the border. The fact that Israel controls the water and the power, the reason that Israel controls the water and the power is specifically because if they did not control the water and the power, Hamas would be right now holed up with the water and the power indefinitely. I mean, the fact is that the reason that Israel controls, for example, the sea border is because if they did not, there were attempts to ship weapons in from Turkey multiple times. The impossible situation in which Israel finds itself with regard to the Gaza Strip is mirrored only by the impossible situation in which Gazan civilians find themselves. And all of that, every single iota of that is the result of Hamas, which means unless there is a change in status in which Hamas is removed from power, in which someone else is put in charge, this is going to continue. Again,